Melissa described the moment this horrific event occurred.
I knew as we came around that it wasn't going to make that turn. I knew something wasn't right.
So roller coasters are usually scary on its own, and thrill seekers like myself enjoy the scary experiences of falling, going upside down, and everything else roller coasters have to offer. Well, on this list, unexpected events takes a turn for the worse, and it might make us think twice about wanting to go on roller coasters. Let me know where you guys are from in the comment section below, and what theme park do you guys have? For me, I live in Toronto, and I used to actually work at Canada's Wonderland, which is the biggest rides here in Canada. Well, what's happening, all you most amazing people? I'm your host for this one, Landon Do Not Sing, and welcome back to another most amazing top 10 video. Alright, let's jump right into this list. Let's not waste any time here. This is the top 10 scary accidents on roller coasters you won't believe. Starting us off, in at number 10, we have Melissa Collins, the woman in the intro of this video, and a mother of 2 young children. She was on her last day of vacation when she suffered major injuries when a roller coaster crashed. Melissa was on the Sand Blaster roller coaster in Daytona Beach with a friend. Moments leading up to the accident, Melissa thought she was going to die. She was left trapped, dangling 3 stories above the ground, hanging on for dear life. 2 passengers were actually ejected from the ride.
Melissa is still in excruciating pain with a fractured jaw, broken arm, collarbone, crushed ribs, and spinal injuries.
Is this real life right now? This just put a whole new fear in roller coasters for me. And get this just happened last year, and it could have happened to anybody. And at number 9, we have a roller coaster that was stuck upside down for hours with passengers in it. I would for sure pass out with all the blood flowing to my head. The flying dinosaur ride at Universal Studios in Japan wasn't flying anymore.
More than 60 thrill seekers had to be rescued from the ride, which left them hanging for hours.
Everyone was just hanging there for more than 2 hours, and they were about 60 to 90 feet from the ground, so if all of a sudden the restraints open up, well, that would be very bad news. Luckily, no one was injured, and I'm sure that's the last time that any of those people went on rides. There is no way that I'd be able to relive that situation. And if they offered like a season's pass, I would say heck no. Moving on to number 8, we have a very scary water ride that derailed. You guys won't believe this. So first, you can see everything is fine. The big drop was successful. But after the drop, someone kept filming. Well, that's because the ride derailed at the bottom. Is this real life right now? Here is the scary part of this video. Everyone on board was able to get out of the ride, but the thing is, the ride is still very active. The next group of people were about to come down that big drop and hit right into them. So when the people took notice of this, they realized the situation they were in, they tried to run out of the way. This is incredibly frightening to watch, and now, because everyone in the back boat is stuck, they're going to be the next set of riders who's going to be hit by the next ride, and this is going to continue until the ride operator realizes what is going on. From there, we move on to number 7 on our list. We have the 1986 accident that happened on the Mindbender roller coaster ride inside the West Edmonton Mall in Edmonton. And it's located in Alberta, Canada, and yes, I did say inside of a mall. This is a massive mall. I mean, it's so big it has its own roller coasters in it. This 1986 accident is the one and only on this list that happened indoors. Well, on this day, this ride went so fast around the corner, it actually derailed as it approached its 3rd loop on the ride. The ride stalled at the top of the loop, and it went backwards into the concrete column. 3 people actually passed away from this scary accident, and 15 others were injured. So get this, investigators determined that missing bolt in a wheel assembly caused the accident, so this was actually human error. This ride was closed down for several months and then reopened. After hearing a story like this, I wouldn't reopen this ride, but luckily, since that accident, nothing else has ever happened. Moving into number 6, we have the Coney Island cyclone disaster that happened in Brooklyn. Back in 1985, a 29-year-old man was killed, but it had nothing to do with the actual ride malfunctioning. Well, maybe. This man for some reason was able to stand up while the ride was going on, and he hit his head on the crossbeam. I'm not sure why the restraints didn't stop this man from standing while the ride was in progress, or why he wanted to stand. A few years later in 1988, a 26-year-old man was killed after falling out of the ride. Again, what is up with the restraints on this ride? That man fell 30 feet and landed on a crossbeam, and he died on impact. There has been no accidents on this ride for about 20 years, but in 2007, a 53-year-old man suffered several crushed vertebrae in his neck while riding the cyclone ride, and then he passed away 4 days later due to complications during surgery. Number 5, well, here's a messed up one for you. For this next scary accident, let me take you over to the Ride of Steel in Darien Lake, which is located in the States. Well, there was this war vet, James Hackamere, who lost both of his legs during his active duty with the war. When he returned, his family decided to go to the amusement park, but that decision would change his family's life forever. When James was getting on board the Ride of Steel, the staff members there okayed him to ride the ride in his condition, but that ended up being a big mistake. He came loose and fell out of the ride when there was bumps in the ride, and because he didn't have legs, he flew right out and fell right to his death. This is just a tragic story, and I wonder who is at blame for this one. Moving into number 4, we have the Thunder River Rapids accident that happened back in 2016. During this ride, the raft actually flipped over, killing 4 people in the process. This happened at the Dream World amusement park on Australia's Gold Coast. Park management permanently closed down this ride due to the accident. This is a very scary recreation of what happened. The ride has been open since 1986 and was closed more recently in 2016 after the deaths. Police did investigate this case, but no criminal charges were laid against any person in relations to the deaths. Moving into number 3, let's talk about the Disneyland accident. The ride we're talking about is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Okay, that looks pretty familiar. I've actually been on this ride many times, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have as well. Well, back in 1998, a 5-year-old boy was seriously injured when his foot became wedged between the passengers' cars. The ride was stopped and he was rescued, but all of his toes on his left foot needed to be amputated. Also 2003, on the same ride, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, a 22-year-old man passed away after suffering severe blunt force trauma and extensive internal bleeding after the ride derailed. 10 other riders were also injured. Next up, we have Alton Towers accident on the Smiler ride at number 2. This right here is Vicky Belch and Leah Washington. They both didn't know each other, but they were both involved with the roller coaster accident at Alton Towers that took place in 2015 when they were about 20 and 23 years old at the time. Both of them lost a leg in the crash. They have suffered life-changing injuries and now have to use bionic legs for their everyday lives. This is the aftermath of the crash. There were 16 people injured in total. Alton Towers has been sued, and millions of dollars was rewarded to Leah Washington and Vicky due to the negligence. And at number 1, we actually have an accident that just happened a few days ago. Well, at the time of this recording, this is a pre-recorded video. 2 people were found dead after a roller coaster was derailed at a Mexico City amusement park. 6 other riders were treated for shock after the accident on the Quimera roller coaster ride. The last train on the ride detached itself and fell more than 30 feet, hitting a steel support beam on its way down. There was a lot of spectators, and some people saw 2 people hitting their heads on their way down, and they hit their heads on metal beams. The 2 men were just 18 and 21 years old. The theme park did come out with the statement. They said, and I quote, "Deeply regrets the terrible accident that happened today in its facilities." They also said total complete support to our affected guests, and they are working with the local authorities on the investigation. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I was your host, Landon Do Not Sing, and I'll see you guys all in the next most amazing top 10 video. I'll see you there.